Okay, so our next manufacturing lean lesson. We already talked about Toyota and how good they're doing compared to auto manufacturing in the United States. We talked about how they could transform an organization that was really struggling, even clear back in the early 80s. In 90 days, they could have just about the same quality and productivity here in the United States as they had in Japan. We talked about how my learning to see moment when I stood up on the mezzanine and one of my mentors stood there and looked out with me and said, only 2 people are turning a wrench, and how that really changed my life, from thinking that everything was just about driving to realizing, oh, my life really now is going to be focused on everything's about how to get from 2 people turning a wrench to 4 to 6 to 8, right? And so great lessons. We learned a little about just standing, going to the Gemba, practicing Genchi Genbutsu, standing and watching the paint line, and how that paint line transformed just from standing and watching, but more importantly, the thread throughout all of those. Management has to lead it. You cannot possibly expect a middle manager to be able to have that kind of impact and remove those kinds of roadblocks. It's simply not possible. They can't do it. You're setting yourself up, the company, and that person up for failure. All right, and then the next thing we talked about was single minute exchange of die, and we were able to really understand through our setup reduction story, Jim back in the machine shop, how organic lean really is and how much it's already part of us. We just need these tools and the system to really help bring it out so we can put it to work, right? We've got some great stuff. And we've also learned that once people have those experiences, that they will literally drive this process on their own, right? No, of course not. You guys have to understand something if you're watching this video. We in leadership are just like anybody else. We read books, we watch seminars. We constantly want to self-improve. I want to be a better manager today than I was yesterday and a better leader, right? No matter whether I'm the CEO, a VP, a director inside the organization. I just want to be better at what I'm doing and get, results that people really can stand behind. And one of the things that come at us all the time is, even in TED Talks recently, comes at us all the time is, hey, if you're a really good inspirational leader, if you're somebody who's got that persona and that personality, and you can create a vision out there that is inspiring and everybody will get behind you, and magically somehow all that passion will turn into meeting those goals. And we love that story. All of us love it, right? And I think for many of us, we've had good managers versus bad managers. We've had experiences both ways. And you realize that these good managers get a lot more done and have a lot more effectiveness, team effectiveness than their counterparts. And we think, oh, well, that really should, if you just keep that going and they get better and better, should end up in one of those visionary people. And I really should be one of those people. Maybe if I read enough or watch enough videos, I'll get there. It's just not the way the world works at all. And if you think about it for a moment, you will realize that it's the stories you've heard, but it's not your real experience, right? We've all heard the stories. But let's just take, Steve Jobs as an example, right? You hear these wonderful inspirational stories, but if you stop for a moment, just get on Google and look it up. Read what people say about him who worked for him. And they will say he was inspirational and had vision. But they'll also say, boy, you had one chance. If you were lucky, you might get 2 chances. And then you were replaced. You either got done what you were assigned to get done and in earnest, or you were replaced, right? So it took that combination of both. And the lean process really comes at it from a different perspective, right? So they say, yes, you have to have a vision. We practice Hoshin Conry, and we make sure that we have a vision that is created by the entire company, right? So that's a wonderful process that everyone can get behind. But lean also says, look, changing human behavior has a lot of aspects to it. There's a lot of pieces and parts. First, you start with training, and you make them aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Why is the company heading this direction, right? What results have other companies gotten who headed down this path? And then you help them understand through benchmarking. Let's go to a couple of companies that are 10 years down the road so we can see what that transformation looked like. And then we do that and we step back and we go, yeah, but that's 10 years and we can't really relate to them. I mean, it's just so different. And then we say, well, let's go benchmark some companies that are only 2 years down the road on the same path. And so we go talk to them and we get their story, and now we can really relate to them, right? So one of our people in purchasing is talking to one of their people in purchasing, and engineering and people management too, and everybody starts to get the sense of, oh, this is what you guys went through, and we're going through the same kind of stuff right now, but this is how it worked out for you. And it'll work out for us a little bit differently, but at least we understand the path. And then we apply the TWI method, training within industry. So we have a scientific method of developing new processes, training new processes, holding those gains, right? Right from the beginning. Did you know that almost every company that implements lean gets a year or two in before somebody at the top stops them and says, hang on, we are having all this incredible impact. Lean is fantastic. We had no idea how powerful a tool it was. This is incredible. However, it's like being on a giant wave moving through the ocean. We're making all these changes. Everything's going great. We can take massive amounts of labor and cost out of the processes and improve the quality right here, right? As the wave moves, and then everything just drops off right behind it. And 3-4 months later, we go right back to our old processes. We're not getting anywhere because as we move through the company, yes, we make all these significant changes, but we can't hold any of them. You don't need to do that. If you follow the lean transformation model, the TWI process is applied in the beginning. All of this culture change is applied right at the beginning so that you bring the entire team along, right? That's how it really happens. You know, so if we can just step back for a moment and just take a deep breath and say, yeah, Mike's probably right about this. In fact, if I talk to a few people, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find out that's exactly right. This whole dream of the inspirational dynamic leader that, you know, provides us with some sort of vision that's just, and we all are headed that direction, you know, just isn't the way it really is going to work. And there's nothing wrong with admitting, look, it's groups of human beings that we are working with that are trying to change a culture. They're ready to go, man. They just need some system. They need some sense to how it all happens, not just rushing in and cramming it down their throats or hoping that there's somebody inspirational at the top who can point the direction. All right, so I'm just making this final point that making the change is what the lean transformation model is about. And the reason that lean implementation has suffered so much over the last 70 years around the world, not just in the United States, has suffered so much is because everybody keeps trying to come in and apply the tools that they want to apply, the ones they've heard about. They want to go get certified, right? They want to learn how to do time observation and spaghetti diagrams and value stream maps and setup reduction, all the mistake proofing, all the stuff they've heard about, and they learn all of it, and none of it makes any sense, and nothing allows people any systematic process to go through the change, right? It's just obvious when you think about it for a moment. So again, deep breath. The previous 4 videos give us a lot of interesting lessons that we haven't really heard in that context before. But this one's probably the most important. And that is what we're doing is we're changing a group of human beings. And guess what? You're one of them. Can't wait to talk to you folks. Get a hold of us right away. We're ready to go.